News for Ring Magazine. Always a pleasure to be joined with Frank Smith, and even better to be joined with him in Brighton. Just had a nice little bit of lunch there. Good to be speaking to you. How's things? How are you?
All good, mate. In my hometown.
How often are you here, would you say?
I spend 60 nights a year at home. So when I found out we were doing an Adam Macca media lunch opposite my house, I thought perfect.
That's perfect. I can't really get much better than that. But obviously second professional outing on September 6th for Adam Macca, which is headlined by Pat McCormack's return and a great domestic dust-up in Mark Dickinson against Troy Williamson on there as well. Looking forward to that night in Sunderland in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, 100%. I'm excited for like Adam Macca, Leo Atang, TMA Ayton as well. We've got a great crop of young fighters coming through who are moving at pace as well. They want to test themselves. Adam's a special fighter with a lot of confidence. We're sitting down here today, you see like the character he is, and I think he can go all the way. And he will want to move very quickly as well, which is good to see. Sunderland, we're there. Pat McCormack, as you say. I think the key is now with Pat is to get that activity. He's had a lot of delays. He had that 17 months out the ring through injury, and now we need to get him that momentum and get him back active and get him those wins. And I think he can be challenging for world titles in the next year or so. You got that on the card. You got Sandy Ryan's back out as well in a brilliant fight. You got Mark Dickinson against Troy Williamson's a great fight on there as well. As I said, Leo Tia on the card too. So excited for it as well.
Was there a strong pursuit for like the young talent and the young fighters turning over a pair? When you look at them on the card, like Leo, Tia, obviously Adam as well, and not even just that, but you can look across the pond, guys like Zaquin Moses. Was there a strong intent to sort of push for the next sort of up and comers with Matchroom?
100%. We're always looking ahead and planning ahead. And as we look at the next 5-6 years, these are the guys that can headline, can sell huge tickets and do massive numbers and win world titles. So that's always the focus for us. We never stop looking at what fighters are out there, what opportunities are out there. So excited about what the future holds with all these guys and girls that we've signed both sides of the pond.
Because when it does come to the UK market, I think fans always have that worry of like who's the next headliner in 18 months' time. Do you feel like you're confident in Matchroom that you do have the right stable, that given 18 months' time there's depth there that they can have headliners when the usual ones almost sort of past their time in a sense?
Yeah, for sure. But I think the sport is ever evolving. Like look at Crocker Donovan. We'll have 20,000 people in Belfast for that show for the IBF welterweight world title. Look at Dave Allen against Makhmadov. We'll have close to 9,000-10,000 in there that night. So like the numbers don't lie as to what the public are interested in, and times change and fighters come and go, but it's about putting on the best possible events, the best fights that people can buy into, and as well growing that young talent and bringing them through.
I did want to move on, Frank. I had to ask you about a crazy fight that got announced last night. Gervonta Davis taking on Jake Paul in Atlanta on November the 14th. Just complete madness, but what are your thoughts on that fight?
You can't write anything off in this sport, can you? But that was a fight that's been spoken about for a long time. I think pre the Lamont Roach fight, that fight was supposed to be announced. It ended up being a draw, the Lamont Roach fight, so it didn't get done. I'm not surprised by anything. It's the sport we're in, and people will buy it, and people will watch it.
There must be some concern on your part, though, when you look at someone like Gervonta Davis, and let's say you take money out of the equation, which is obviously the main factor here, but like he's in a division where he's got killers all in his division. Shakur, Haney, who's 147. You look at Tio, for example, Keyshawn, and then you choose to fight someone like Paul. Surely that's a concern when you do look at it like that.
Yeah, but again, it's the world we're in. If you can get huge amount of money to fight someone who's never boxed really before, you're going to do it. Floyd Mayweather boxed Logan Paul with a huge weight disparity.
He was done by then. He was done. This is an active world champion.
But it's the world we're in.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. When it comes down to it, it's just like Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather. Two completely different sports. Was the biggest pay-per-view in recent times, wasn't it? Maybe if ever.
Those are like different comparisons, though. If you think about it, do you not like?
Yeah, but the sport's in a wild place, isn't it? That's I'm just like the reality of where we are, And I can't really say much when we're talking about Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua at the same time.
Do you think Tank should get stripped of his title?
I think anyone who, just in general, doesn't defend their title to do something else should get stripped, because it shouldn't hold the belts up. In any, I think that should be the reality in anything. You know, if you're not going to defend your belts, or you're not defending, sometimes there's the rules. Obviously, if you fight for a belt at a higher weight, you can retain the belt until there. But if you're don't have intention of defending the belts, you shouldn't hold the belts up. People should get the opportunity to fight for them.
What happened with the failed negotiations between AJ and Jake Paul?
I think anything's still possible. That was always discussed for next year. You know, this fight's November, early part of next year. AJ's in a great place, because if anyone in the heavyweight division wants to make huge money, Anthony Joshua is the man they have to get in there with. You know, and the key was always getting him into a place where he was 100% fit and ready, and then you'll see him back in the ring. But you'll see him in big fights next year.
Is the stumbling block with trying to make that fight, though, that Netflix would obviously want that, and AJ has that deal with DAZN? Is that a big stumbling block, would you say?
I don't think. I mean, AJ's exclusive with DAZN. You know, the fight could happen. I don't think Jake Paul is exclusive with Netflix. Jake Paul has had fights on Netflix. He had that Chavez fight on DAZN, though, didn't he? Yeah. So, you know, I don't think that necessarily was what it came down to.
Is DAZN on board with that fight?
I mean, DAZN I'm sure every broadcaster in the world would be on board for that fight, in reality. You know, and look back to when Jake Paul fought KSI all those years ago. That was on Sky Sports box office as well. Yeah, it was. You know? So, like, we can look over all these years and look at fights that have been made over these years, and people go, oh, I wouldn't do it, oh, I wouldn't do it. And it's like, they've been there. And it's kind of like, you don't have to watch it, in truth. I get where people are coming from with it, but it's the truth of the world we live in now. You know, that's, people want to see weird stuff.
Yeah. It must, when AJ and Matchroom will come out and say things like AJ wants to be 3-time heavyweight world champion, that's always the goal. Surely it must be hard for the public to look at that when he's looking at fighting Jake Paul.
I think it doesn't. You know, it's just another fight. He has that fight and still wants to become a world champion. Like, I know where, you know, fight fans want to see what they want to see, but at the same time, we're in a dangerous sport, where if I told you, like in your job, you can go make 10 times the money and have an easy night's work, you go, oh, lovely, what do I do? And it's very easy on the outside to question people's decisions and what they want to do, but if it was you, or the next person, it'd be like, well, I can understand why they made that decision. But yeah, look, things evolve. You know, sometimes, is it about money? Is it about, you know, he's 2-time unified heavyweight champion of the world, something that most people in their life will never do. 99.99999% of people will never do it. No, I'll never do it. Yeah. I'll never win any title, let alone the unified heavyweight championships of the world. So, you know, and there's a lot of talk in boxing about, like, how long does he have left? He has as long left as he wants to be in the sport. You know, so many fighters get written off after losses. Like, but let's look at it. He fought Usyk twice, lost against Usyk, who is undoubtedly the best boxer of our generation. Let's be honest. He fought Andy Ruiz, got beat by him, wasn't his best night, came back, avenged that defeat. You know, and then Daniel Dubois. There's 17, 18 stone men. They can knock each other out. That's the reality of it. If you don't have a good night, you don't have a good night. And you get stopped, you get stopped. But fighters shouldn't be written off for that, for taking challenges. It's like, we live in a world and a sport where people say, oh, he's not fighting him, he's not fighting him. Then they do fight each other and they're written off on a loss. So something has to change with that.
No, I get that. Just quickly moving on from that, and more onto, I guess, broadcaster chat. Vidal Riley come out and said that he is now a free agent after. I mean, he signed a multi-fight deal at the start of last year. Obviously, had 3 fights since then, being there was one in Liverpool, the Lowell fight, and then the Chev fight. From your understanding, like, where do you think this lies with boxer fighters' contracts when it comes to their new deal with BBC?
My understanding is a lot of fight, and I think what is spoken about a lot is a lot of fighters in their contract had a clause in there the fights being on Sky. And I get that, because no one signed with Boxer to sign with Boxer. Let's be honest, like, they wouldn't have taken a punt with Boxer. They signed because they had the Sky deal on the Sky platform. You know, so if those fighters have that clause, I understand why they're using it, because it's a very different, you know, it's a very different world they're in now. You know, interesting times. You know, Vidal Riley's a huge, you know, big name, commercial, got a big commercial presence as well, huge following, had some good wins, and he's in a good place in the sport. So we'll see what happens. Would
you make a strong play? Would Matchroom be willing to make a strong play for Vidal Riley?
I had no discussions. Of course, we'll have conversations with all fighters that are free and able to have those conversations. We've got a good relationship with 258, who manage him, of course. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be a chat to be had there.
I know you've spoken about it previously, and I think you know what I'm going to ask you. But like that deal in itself, do you think it can be a success? Or?
Anything can be a success. I think if you put it in someone's hands who's shown time and time again they can't make a look. Again, and you have to show this whole clip. If you ever cut this up, you have to show this whole thing, right? You ask me questions about boxer, Ben Shalom, etc. I answer the questions. I give my truthful, honest answer, like I would if it was anyone. He had a £32 million 4-year deal with Sky Sports. What he says is the biggest platform for sport, blah, 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 all these things, right? He did. And he messed it up. He messed it up because they didn't extend. We chose to leave Sky when we left Sky. Not they didn't extend. We said, right, we're going to go and take another opportunity. We had a great relationship with Sky for many years. He had a deal for 4 years, didn't deliver for them, and they went, thanks very much, see you later. So my question always is, who in their right mind would look at it and go, give him another chance? Because he was it's a bit like football managers, isn't it? Yeah. Like, well, he got sacked from 8 jobs, but we'll give him another one. And then expect it to be different.
You see it happen, I guess.
Yeah, you see it happen, but then expect it to be different. Yeah. And how often is it different? Not really. So, for me, I think, I don't wish bad on anyone. I don't really like him. I've said that enough times, and I have my reasons for that. And people will say I'm bitter, I'm jealous. I'm not. I just don't like the way he operates. And if he does well, happy days. BBC, boxing on BBC, great. But I just think he failed with 32 million quid over 4 years. What's he going to do it? It's just my view. He's got 4 shows a year. It's impossible to build a stable of fighters with 4 shows a year.
So how do they change that model? Because, you can't really be doing that with guys like, let's say in a hypothetical world they get Azim on there or somehow, or they get, like a Fraser Clark or.
Well, they might for one.
Yeah.
One or two.
You can't build that. Like, how do they build how does in your opinion, how do you think the model has to be changed for them?
I just think they have to change the tier of promoter they are. They want to operate at the top, but they're not there. Unless they've got significant investment by someone who's pumping money and wants to lose money, because they would have hemorrhaged a lot of money already. So I think you have to adjust the mindset in what you're looking to deliver. You can't think with the same mindset. And look, if he would have delivered and been successful on Sky, they wouldn't have said see you later. They would have kept him. So, it's very hard then to rebuild that business from there. If you go in and after 4 years they go, wow, we can't live without this guy, then he's into a great thing, isn't it? Now it's very difficult. He got dropped from there. He's now got 4 shows. He's going to lose a lot of fighters because he can't deliver within those 4 shows. So I don't really know how it succeeds. I don't wish bad on him. Good luck to him. Go and do your own thing. I don't think about him too much. I answer questions and that's it.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Frank, appreciate lunch today. But yeah, always a pleasure to see you and catch up. And sure, it won't be too long until we catch up sometime soon. Cheers, mate.
Good to see you, mate. Cheers.